Beloved IWU community of students, alumni, staff, and faculty, we've heard it said before, and we will hear it again and again. We are living in unprecedented times, and we are here, but what does it mean to be here? A story. 3 friends decide to kidnap their older friend from the nursing home so he can get a flavorful meal out. They make sure he's secure in his wheelchair, and off they go, doing wheelies across the 4-lane big city street. He's still secure in his here, but now he has a whole new perspective. A new year has begun, and again we are called to keep on becoming in this new here and now. We are called to be the campus that we are meant to be in this new here and now, a campus of discovery and belonging, where we are free to keep becoming the people, the thinkers, the artists, the friends we are meant to be in this here and now. A new year has begun, and we've all got a lot of becoming to do, for there is much work to be done for ourselves, for the world, for our neighbors near and far, known and unknown in this here and now. I know in these times we will each do our part in the becoming we are called to be, because we will struggle and do it together. While these are unprecedented times, think about this. There is only one you. Imagine. There is only one uniquely beloved you. There is no one else like you on the planet, and you are here and in this now. You are a gift that will make the current here and now we are in to be what it needs to be, and most importantly, what we want it to be. 3 friends got together to kidnap my father so he could once again taste sweetness as he savored that creme brulee. If 3 persons could do that for one elderly man, just think what we can do together. I'm grateful to be here in the community with you students, faculty, and staff of Illinois Wesleyan University. I love being in the here and the now and what we will become.
Thank you, Chaplain Corsaro. Good morning, and welcome to this 170th academic year at Illinois Wesleyan University.
I am here to welcome you all to campus, tell you to wear your masks, over your nose of course, and ensure that you all know Wesleyan is working as hard as possible to ensure that your first semester is as normal, but also as safe as possible. But more importantly, some words of advice from myself and a few friends. Wesleyan is going to be your home for the next 4 years. So explore the campus, explore the city, but avoid ISU territory. I heard things can get a little crazy up there. Secondly, I promise you the opportunities are out there for you to grab. You just need to trust yourself, trust your ideas, and trust that Wesleyan will be there to guide you. Thirdly, if you feel like you're not fitting in, I promise you, it's just the nerves. I guarantee there's an RSO out there very, very excited to meet you. Finally, college is different. It's okay to change, explore, succeed, and even struggle. So with that, in the wise words of my older brother, carpe freaking diem. For those who do not know, it roughly translates to seize the freaking day. Thank you, and hashtag TGOE.
Again, welcome to our new academic year and to the first virtual President's Convocation. Every September in a university brings a sense of excitement, of fresh possibilities, of the new. But this September is different. You, the members of the class of 2024, have a unique opportunity to truly be a part of the new. Illinois Wesleyan has never known a semester like this before. with classes being offered in 4 different teaching modes. Now, none of us is happy about the reason for this innovation, but innovation it is. And after this, I confidently predict teaching and learning here will never be the same again. They will be even better. So we approach this academic year with a sense of anticipation and energy and renewed commitment to the values that bring us together in this beautiful and special place. You are joining a community based on the love of learning and a belief in the value of learning. That is fundamental and enduring. Our faculty are great teachers and scholars who love their subjects and care deeply about their students. The possibility of lighting a spark this year in a student who will come to love their field of study as much as they do, well, in many ways, that's what we live for. It's why we've chosen teaching and scholarship as our life's work. That's why faculty members this summer put an enormous amount of energy and engagement and hard work into their preparation for the courses they'll be offering this year. They were designing new ways of teaching, learning from one another, using technologies to an extent that we never have before. Liberal arts education has continuously evolved, and no one has a crystal ball to know precisely how it will evolve in the future. But undoubtedly, that will be bound up with the continuing development of information technologies. This academic year, we are building together a new model for liberal arts education. Core practices that have made liberal arts education so successful in the past cannot be effectively replaced by technology. A faculty member who is both excited about his or her discipline and cares personally about students' development, a community of learners, diverse in many ways, but sharing a common commitment to understanding, a lived belief in education as a transformative experience for the whole person, not just as a transactional exchange. These are the characteristics of liberal arts learning that must and will continue to be a part of the future. We cannot predict how these 2 imperatives, the full exploration of technology's strengths and continuing respect for the centrality of personal relationships, will intertwine in the education of the future. But I believe they can and they will do so. You, the class of 2024, are important partners in defining liberal arts education for the future. You will be a part of creating that future. But let's be clear, introducing new technologies for learning is exciting, but also troubling, and it has always been that way. Because we're all using technology in new ways this year to carry out the enduring project of liberal arts education, I want to talk with you this morning about what I might call the ancient history of the new. I'm going to focus on our 2 oldest information technologies, speech and writing. We may not always think of the gift of speech as an information technology, but in the first autobiographical work in Western literature, the Confessions, St. Augustine clearly understands it that way. He recounts the frustration of being an infant, which in Latin literally means without speech. He's frustrated because, as he puts it, my wishes were inside me while other people were outside. His cries and inarticulate sounds weren't sufficient to make his wishes obeyed, but he gradually pieced together words and what they stood for. He says, I began to express my wishes by means of them. In this way, I made my wants known to my family, and they made theirs to me, and I took a further step into the life of human society. Speech, Augustine realizes, is the information technology connecting the self to the world, each influencing the other. Introduction of another information technology, writing, clearly produced high anxiety in the culture. We can tell this from the first reference to writing that we have in Western culture. It occurs in Homer's Iliad. First, I should note that it seems clear that Homeric heroes are illiterate. At one point in the Trojan War, the Greeks must choose a fighter to send against the Trojan hero Hector. They do it by lot, each man marking a token and dropping it into a helmet. A herald draws out one of the tokens, but he doesn't call out a name. Instead, he shows the token around to everyone until one man claims it as his own mark. Homer's heroes can make a mark, but they can't write or read. And yet, Homer knows that writing exists. He calls written words semata lugra, which means sad or mournful signs. Why sad? Well, this earliest reference to the technology of writing occurs in a story Homer tells. It's a plot that recurs a number of times in Western literature. You may already be familiar with it from Hamlet, if you recall his friends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. In Homer's version, the Greek hero Bellerophon is given a writing tablet with semata lugra to deliver to a distant king. It's clear that Bellerophon cannot read, but the king can, and the message says, "Kill the bearer of this message." What calls our attention here is the fact that this first reference to writing profoundly distrusts it, assuming that it will be used to nefarious ends by unscrupulous men in power. Today, we might think of this Homeric view of writing as naive or absurd, but in some profound sense, Homer had it right. As with strong individuals, so with powerful technologies. Their strengths are also their weaknesses. The strengths of writing precisely include the ability to transport a message, a writer's intention, whether for good or ill, across distance and across time. This transport can occur without distortion and without the bearer even being aware of the message's content. The fixity and portability of writing are among its greatest assets as a technology. But the kill the bearer of this message scenario highlights precisely the potential abuse of these virtues. Centuries after Homer, Greek culture still displays high anxiety about the potentially negative effects of the technology of writing. Most famously, the arguments are distilled by Plato, put, of course, into the mouth of Socrates in his dialogue, the Phaedrus. Socrates marshals a barrage of arguments against the use of writing, and more specifically, denigrates writing in comparison to speech. Since Socrates carries out all his teaching by walking around the agora talking to people, we can't be too surprised that he privileges speech. Socrates makes three main arguments. First, the practice of writing will introduce forgetfulness, because people will no longer rely on memory within themselves, but will put trust in mere external marks. Those who make use of writings will hear many things, but not actually learn them. They will imagine they know much, knowing in fact nothing. Such people, Socrates warns, will be filled not with wisdom, but with the conceit of wisdom, and they will be a burden to their fellows. Second, Socrates also counts against writing the fact that it's unchanging. It just signifies the same thing over and over. Written words, he says, seem to talk to you as though they were intelligent, but if you ask them anything, they just go on telling you the same thing forever. In other words, you can't hold a dialogue with them. Socrates' final criticism of writing, interesting enough, is its democratizing power. It drifts all over the place, getting into the hands not only of those who understand it, but equally of those who have no business with it. It doesn't know how to address the right people and not address the wrong. How will you keep knowledge if it's in written form out of the hands of the wrong people? Here we're confronted with the embarrassment of the real Athens as opposed to the idealized ancient Athens we may fantasize. Yes, it was a democracy, but no, it was not a democracy that we would recognize or feel comfortable in. There's an interesting paradox in these Socratic concerns about the new information technology of writing and the distinctions of public and private. On the one hand, writing raises the specter of truly public information. information disseminated indiscriminately among the hoi polloi, which in Greek simply means the many. But on the other hand, and it's the point Socrates dwells upon more seriously, writing makes possible in a new way the development of a private knowing and a private self without the give and take of dialogue in the marketplace, without the possibility for public scrutiny or public enlightenment that discourse involves. Today, we seem to worry most that information technologies will threaten privacy. It's scarcely too much to say that Socrates feared writing would create privacy. With this, I want to turn more specifically to the continuities and discontinuities we encounter in these critiques. Confronted with a new way of communicating, a new technology, both Homer and Plato fear that it will introduce dangerous secrecy and undesirable development of privacy. Today, we worry about IT ushering in a lack of the privacy we've come to value. Contemplating the written word, Plato was concerned about its fixity, the inability to enter into a dialogue. Today, we more often worry about the fluidity of the electronic text, its potential for corruption. Plato's concern that writing would introduce a loss of memory, however, may have a certain ring of truth to us. So, in some cases, the ancient and modern are parallel. In others, almost precisely opposite. That very disparity reveals, I think, that the technology per se is not the real concern. As Augustine vividly recognized, the information technologies we have, whether speech or writing or telecommunication of various kinds, connect what is inside of us with what is outside in the world. And that's a transmission that is always somewhat mystifying, always potentially threatening, whether it occurs via a whisper or via the web. Our technologies have continually expanded the area over which we may exercise some influence or control. But concomitantly, of course, they have expanded the networks, both of persons and phenomena, by which we may be influenced. The advent of electronic media has raised the ante on this interaction, but it has not changed the fundamental character of the transaction. The concern, as it turns out, whether Plato's or ours, is not really the forms in which we create and receive information. It's the kind of selves we become and the kinds of societies we build with that information. Questions that recur in confronting information technologies have to do, to be sure, with how our minds or mental capacities will be shaped, whether extended or diminished or curtailed by the technologies of information to which we accustom ourselves. But the real concern about information technologies is more troubling than the shortening of our memories or attention spans. It's the severing, or perhaps worse, the corruption of our human ties. Homer associated writing with secretive and murderous intent. On the whole, our uncertainties about electronic media are less extreme, but further, they have almost nothing to do with technology. As technologist Bran Ferren has said, what is most significant about the internet has little to do with computers. The net is really a string and two tin cans, he wrote. The computers are in the middle, but they're just doing the message passing. Exactly. The issue is really our ability to understand and control ourselves and to enter into meaningful, reciprocal relationships with others. In the Phaedrus, Socrates ultimately moves away from the issue of writing. Finally, he concludes, it makes little difference whether a man speaks or writes. The only thing that will matter is whether he understands the soul. You have come to a liberal arts university that stands on the twin pillars of scientia and sapientia, knowledge and wisdom. This year, we may be conveying scientia, knowledge, in new ways. But sapientia, wisdom, remains what Socrates knew it was, understanding the soul. And that's not about receiving information via any technology. It's about engaging in transformation. And that's the objective of your liberal arts education here, to give you the opportunity and experiences to transform and grow, and ultimately to enable you to transform our world, to bring about change for the better. We also know that during your years here, you will change Illinois Wesleyan. We will be a different university because of the talents and strengths and aspirations that you bring. So we embark this year on a project that is new and also eternal, the quest for Scientia et Sapientia. Thank you, guys. I'm pretending that I'm looking out at an audience. And now, it's my pleasure to begin to a series of honorary awards that we will present this morning. Through the years, the Teaching Excellence Award has undergone several name changes, but its purpose has always been to recognize and celebrate the vital role that teaching plays at Illinois Wesleyan. The award honors one faculty member who brings spirit, passion, and scholarship to the art of teaching. The Kemp Family Foundation began funding the award in the 2009-2010 academic year. Today, we honor Tim Reddick. Dr. Reddick earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Dayton and a PhD in physical chemistry from Case Western Reserve University. He joined Illinois Wesleyan as an assistant professor in 1981, was promoted to associate professor in 1987, and to professor in 2004. Dr. Reddick is the 2020 recipient of the Kemp Foundation Award for Teaching Excellence at Illinois Wesleyan University. Nominated by his peers and selected by the university's Promotion and Tenure Committee, Dr. Reddick is the 46th winner of the university's top teaching award. The Kemp Foundation has supported the university's award for teaching excellence since 2009. This annual award honors a faculty member who represents our highest ideals in terms of instruction, and we are delighted that the Kemp family and the Kemp Foundation share our desire to recognize outstanding teaching at Illinois Wesleyan. As some of you know, Parker Kemp is a resident of Bloomington and served on our Board of Trustees for many years. Besides supporting this award, Parker and his children also made a gift a few years ago that was used to create the Glenn and Roseanne P. Kemp Commencement Plaza in front of State Farm Hall. Those of you in the class of 2024 will ultimately be on that plaza for commencement. Glenn and Roseanne were Parker's parents and were both graduates of IWU. Parker's daughter, Toni Jenkins, is here today. Please join me in a round of applause to thank her and all members of the Kemp family for their generous support of the university. Toni will present the 2020 Teaching Excellence Award on behalf of her family and the foundation. So, Ms. Jenkins and Professor Reddick, will you please come forward?
Thank you and good afternoon, Professor Reddick. On behalf of the Kemp family, I want to congratulate you on receiving the Kemp Foundation Award for Teaching Excellence. Congratulations on this. Thank you.
I have the true privilege to serve as Dean of our faculty. All of the faculty who have served on our Promotion and Tenure Committee know that this faculty is a pretty modest group when it comes to talking about their abilities. Being on Promotion and Tenure Committee gives you amazing insights about how good a faculty we actually have. Bestowing the Kemp Award is one of those special occasions when we have the opportunity to formally recognize one of our peers for their hard work as an excellent and dedicated teacher. This is a moment to recenter on the core of our work by celebrating excellent teaching. On the back of today's program, you will find a list of the faculty who have been recipients in previous years. It is a true honor for me to be able to announce the recipient of the 2021 Kemp Award for Teaching Excellence. This is one of those days when it's really good to be the dean. So, in the tradition of past awards, past bestows, I will present a series of clues. Our recipient is a tenured faculty member at Illinois Wesleyan University in Bloomington, Illinois. That is clue number one. Colleagues who wrote nomination letters for this year's recipient all called out her, or was it his, focus on students both inside and outside the classroom, working hard to make all Illinois Wesleyan University students feel welcomed here, regardless of where they came from. Clue number three, a letter from an alumnus noted, he, yes, he, was the first teacher who treated me as if I might be an interesting person in my own right, not just a kid or student with whom he had to deal with for the semester. Di Sung-gu. Another alumnus wrote, he saw the best in me and then challenged me to become that version during my 4 years at Illinois Wesleyan University. Through his mentorship, I found my purpose to lead, serve, and create beauty through international education. 5. Nominators noted that the 2021 Kemp Award recipient has a history of being at the center of events and programming that will bring the whole of our university together. Number 6, we can look forward to today's honoree taking the lead in our campus's celebration of the Year of the Rat on Friday, February 12th in 2021. We have a Lunar New Year that truly brings us all together. So please join me in congratulating Professor Thomas D. Lutzy as the recipient of the 2021 Kemp Award for Teaching Excellence. Congratulations, Tom.
You get so accustomed to these things, you can't tell whether you've got it on or off. There is a long tradition in higher education of appointing faculty members to endowed professorships and chairs. At Illinois Wesleyan, this honor is reserved for members of the faculty who have distinguished themselves through exemplary teaching and active engagement of students, outstanding scholarship and/or artistic achievement, and service at the very highest levels of the university. The guiding principle in awarding an endowed professorship or chair is that the individual represents our highest aspirations for faculty members on this campus. Today, we will recognize 4 faculty members who have recently been appointed to endowed professorships: Ann Eckhart, Robert Erlewine, Will Jekyll, and Michael Tooney. All of our honored faculty will receive engraved medallions, which can be worn with their academic regalia to signify their distinction in our community.
Professor Eckhart, please step forward. Associate Professor of Nursing, Dr. Ann Eckhart, is being named to the Dolores Hershey Asher Professorship of Nursing. Professor Eckhart joined Illinois Wesleyan as a visiting instructor in 2011 before becoming an assistant professor in 2012. She was promoted to associate professor in 2018. A 2003 Illinois Wesleyan alumna, Dr. Eckhart earned a BSN from Illinois Wesleyan University and a PhD from the University of Illinois at Chicago. Her nursing experience includes 3 years at the cardiovascular intensive care unit, where she cross-trained to surgical trauma and neonatal intensive care, and 12 years as an administrative house officer. Professor Eckhart has published qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods articles in the areas of coronary artery bypass surgery and heart disease symptomatology, and is engaged in international research. She is also the associate editor for Jarvis, Physical Examination Health Assessment. Anne.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, it's my honor and privilege to appoint Anne Eckhart to the Dolores Helsley Asher Professorship of Nursing and to present this medallion as a sign of distinction and honor in our community.
Professor Erlewine, please step forward. Professor of Religion, Dr. Robert Erlewine, is being named to the Isaac Funk Professorship. A member of the Illinois Wesleyan faculty since 2006, Dr. Erlewine was promoted to professor in 2018. He served as the chair of the Religion Department from 2016 to 2019. He earned a bachelor's degree in philosophy from St. Mary's College of Maryland, a master's in philosophy from Boston College, and he earned his PhD in religious studies from Rice University. Professor Erlewine teaches courses such as Facing Evil, Religious Tolerance and Pluralism, Philosophers Read the Bible, and American Jewish Thought. His scholarship explores the complexity of religious life in the modern world, examining how religious traditions reconcile monotheist beliefs with contemporary values of tolerance and diversity, and the ways that minority religious traditions, like Judaism, were shaped by and helped shape the understanding of religion in the larger cultures in which they lived. Professor Erlewine is the author of 2 books, Monotheism and Tolerance, Recovering a Religion of Reason, published in 2010, and Judaism in the West, from Herman Cohen to Joseph Slovichik, published in 2016. He is also the author of more than 20 articles and essays. His forthcoming book, Thunder in the Soul, To Be Known by God, compiles important writings of the civil rights activist Abraham Joshua Herschel, who will be published in 2021. Erlewine has served as managing editor for the Journal of Jewish Thought and Philosophy from 2011 to 2015, and was a visiting professor in 2019 at Dartmouth College.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, it's my honor and privilege to appoint Robert Erlewine to the Isaac Funk Professorship and to present this medallion as a sign of distinction and honor in our community. Congratulations.
Professor Jekyll, please step forward. Professor of Biology, Dr. Will Jekyll, is being appointed to the Seymour and Diana Galena Endowed Professorship. Professor Jekyll began his teaching at Illinois Wesleyan as an adjunct assistant professor in 1996, before becoming an assistant professor in 2001. He was promoted to the rank of full professor in 2015. Jekyll earned a bachelor's degree in zoology from the Humboldt State University and a PhD in biology from the University of Southern California. Professor Jekyll's research is focused on aspects of the life history, development, physiology, and ecology of invertebrate animals, with particular emphasis on their free-living developmental stages called larvae. His primary research interests relate to understanding how and in what form aquatic invertebrates and their larvae acquire food from the environment. The author of numerous publications, Jekyll is currently working with IWU research students to assess the ability of aquatic animals to uptake dissolved organic materials from the marine and fresh waters, the degree to which dissolved organic nutrients are absorbed throughout their bodies, and ultimately then the importance of these materials as a source for energy and nutrition.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, it is my honor and privilege to appoint Will Jekyll to the Seymour and Diana Galena Endowed Professorship, and to present this medallion as a sign of distinction and honor in our community. Okay.
And now Professor Tooney, if you would please step forward. Professor of English, Dr. Michael Tooney, is appointed to the Robert W. Harrington Endowed Professorship. A member of the Illinois Wesleyan faculty since 2002, Dr. Tooney was promoted to professor in 2015. He earned bachelor's degrees from Hope College and the University of Oxford, an MFA from the University of Iowa, and a PhD from the University of Houston. Professor Tooney's courses focus on creative writing, poetry, and romantic literature. He writes criticism and also poetry. His scholarship has three main concerns: the poetic turn, places where poems radically change their focus, the assessment of poetry, and romantic poet John Keats. Professor Tooney has authored numerous essays and reviews, and he has edited, co-edited, or co-authored 3 books: Keats' Negative Capability, The Origins and Afterlives, which he co-edited with Brian Rejak in 2019, We Need to Talk, a new method for evaluating poetry, which he co-authored with Bob Broad in 2018, and he edited the book Structure and Surprise, Engaging Poetic Turns, which was published in 2007.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, it's my honor and privilege to appoint Michael Tooney to the Robert W. Harrington Endowed Professorship, and to present this medallion as a sign of distinction and honor in our community. Congratulations, Mike. Again, congratulations to each faculty member who has been honored here today. Our program will conclude with the singing of the Alma Wesleyana, led by Cameron Merker.